Hi guys, welcome to session number 11 of Marketing 101. And in this video series, we are going through the topic of marketing. Now, in our previous session number 10, we have started the topic of marketing. And in today's session, we are going to go further into that topic. My name is Ankit and welcome to my marketing series. So when we started the topic of marketing mix, what did we understand by it? So marketing mix is basically we have to establish an optimum combination between the four items, the four P's, which we basically call the four P's. That is the product itself, the price of the product, the promotion technique we are using, and the place, that is the distribution channel. So when we study the marketing mix, there are basically two broad ways of understanding marketing mix. First and foremost, it is the product oriented marketing mix. Product basically means goods and services both. But in our particular discussion, we will consider product as the goods and then the service marketing mix. So in today's session, we are going to focus entirely on the product marketing mix. And then in the next session, we will cover the service marketing mix. So when we talk about the product marketing mix, it can again be divided into two parts. When we are focusing on the producer, that is the producer oriented marketing mix, and when we are going to focus on the consumer marketing mix. So these are the two marketing mix in the product itself, which we have to study. So first and foremost, let's start with the product marketing mix, which is producer oriented. So first P is our product. What is a product? Product can be a tangible product or it can be intangible goods. So what do you mean by tangible goods? Which we can see, which we can feel. And what are intangible goods? Basically the services. So understand this thing first. When we talk about product, product means both. That is goods as well as services. So when we talk about the product, what is the idea behind creating a product? That is, we offer this to the market, we offer this to our customer base to satisfy their want. And it does not only include the product itself. That is, it does not only include the goods or services which you are providing, but also the bundle which you provide with the product. So for example, the packaging, the installation services, even the after sale services which are provided after you have made the sales. So when we talk about product, the product can be further subcategorized in different manners. So first and foremost, on the basis of usage. So usage basically means how the end user is going to use your product. So it could be a consumer good. So consumer good is basically goods which are bought by the end consumer for their own personal consumption. So all your soaps, biscuits, chocolate, books, these are what consumer goods. Why? Because these are bought by the consumer not to resell, but for their own consumption. And then you have industrial goods. Industrial goods are basically these goods are used by the industries, either for the consumption of the industry or industry use these goods to develop further goods. So, for example, machinery. A, a particular industry is buying a machinery because they want to use that machinery. But for what purpose? They want to produce further goods by the help of that machinery. Or nuts and bolts. They are used in manufacturing process of another item. Then on the basis of durability, that is how sustainable your product is. On the basis of durability, your goods either can be durable goods, which will serve a consumer for a long time. Now, long time does not have a particular time period attached to it, but it is usually for months and years. So the laptop which you buy, the mobile headset which you buy, the desktop which you buy, the tablets which you buy, all your electronic items are durable goods. Why? Because once you have invested on those products, you will use those products for a longer period of time, maybe years and years. And then you have non-durable goods. So non-durable goods basically have a very short shelf life. So all your foods and drinks and cosmetics, either they are finished once they are consumed or they take a few days to be consumed, but they do not have a long shelf life. And finally, you have product distributed on the basis of tangibility. Now, what do you mean by tangibility? The physical characteristics. So when a good can be physically touched, it can be felt, it can be seen, it is a tangible goods. All your laptops, your furniture, these are tangible goods. And then you have intangible goods. So intangible goods basically are nothing but services, like salon services, home cleaning services. Nobody can tell you that this particular barber is good unless and until you visit the barber and get a haircut. So these services cannot be seen. They can only be felt. So when we talk about the product in a marketing mix, what is the essentiality behind the product element? First and foremost, as a good marketer, you should know your market and you should know the demand of the market. So the right type of product should be provided to the market. And in order to do that, any good marketer has to do extensive research on the life cycle of the product. So the life cycle of the product starts with the development phase. Development phase is basically the phase where the good is being developed. The idea of the good is being developed. You can say it's an on paper stage. So in the development phase only, you have to know the what are the needs and what are the wants of the customer. Then you have the growth phase. Growth phase is where your product is extensively bought. There is an enthusiasm for your product in the market. The customers are highly charmed by your product. Then you have the maturity phase. In the maturity phase, that charm, that charisma of your product is plateauing. It is flattening. That is, you're not able to increase your sales. It also means that you're not decreasing in the sales, but that enthusiasm for your product is plateauing. Then you have sales decline phase. Now, this is the phase where you need to innovate your product. In this is the phase when you need to replace your product with a new product. Or this is the stage where a new competition has entered into the market and they are providing an innovative product. So a good marketer needs to constantly reinvent the product to increase the sale. Because if they do not reinvent the sale, after the sales declining phase, they will start to lose their market share. And no organization want to lose their market share. The second P of our marketing mix element is the price. Now, what is price? So price is basically the amount which the consumer is paying for your product. So why price is important? Because it is the price which defines the organization profit and survival. And it is the price which is very essential for the consumer. If you have priced your product properly in the market, then you will be able to attract a lot of customer. Now see the dichotomy in the price element. If the prices of your product are very low, then there is a chance, there is a probability that consumer will associate your product being an inferior one, because they will say that if the product is cheap, then the quality will be cheap. Secondly, if you price your product very high, then it will make unaffordable for a lot of customers. So what will happen? They will value their money more than the product itself. And if a consumer is valuing their money more than the product, then they will not invest in your product. So a very good strategy in pricing is to examine the competitor pricing, that what is the price your competitor is using it. But there are a lot of different pricing strategies. Let's go through them one by one. First and foremost, you have the market penetration pricing. This pricing is basically followed by a new entrant in the market, and that new entrant is a very well-off person. So I'll give you example of Reliance Jio. When Reliance Jio entered into the market, they provided free data to everybody for almost a year. So what did they do? They, to gain the foothold in the market, to gain that market share. See, in the market penetration pricing strategy, profit making is not the primary motive. The primary motive is to get the customer addicted to your product. And how do you do it? By capturing the market share. And how do you capture that market share? By providing your product at the cheapest price possible. So basically, you're wiping out the competition. Therefore, it is called as market penetration. You're penetrating the market. So the idea is to gain foothold in the highly competitive market. And how do you do it? You provide lower prices than the competitors. The second strategy in the pricing element is market savings pricing. One, the customers are addicted to your product. Take the example of all your ride sharing apps, the Olas and Ubers. What they did when they entered the Indian market, they gave a lot of discount. That is the place when they were market penetrating. They gave a lot of discount. They offered cheap price. When they realized that people now addicted to our product, that is now they are addicted to being picked up from their doorstep and dropped at their doorstep. So what did they do? They slowly and gradually they started to increase the price. This is the market skimming pricing. That is, now you are selling your product at a premium because you know that people are so addicted to your product that whatever happens, they will use your product, they will buy your product. Then you have geographic pricing. Now, geographic pricing, as the name says, for different geographies, for different market segment, you have different prices because that segment is different. Now, do not misunderstood this as the same product is offered at the same market segment. It is not. The market segment defines their own product. Product in general will be the same, but a few features will be here or there, more or less according to the each segment, and accordingly their price will be different. Then you have differential pricing. Now, differential pricing is again a different pricing for different market, but here you are trying to enter into a new market. So what do? You follow a market penetration strategy, but on the other market you're already there, you're already at the top, so you do the market skimming pricing. So when we talk about differential pricing is when you target the market on the basis of your economies of scale. Geographic pricing is when you deliberately charge different prices from different geographies. And then you have product line pricing. You do know that there are a lot of companies who have different product line for the same product. For example, the companies which are selling cookies and biscuits, they have a lot of product line within that product only. So you have the normal biscuit, then you have the butter biscuit, then you have the cream filled biscuits, then you have the oats biscuits. So within that same product, you have different product line. So what do? Do all those product line have the same price? The answer is no. So a multi-product firm, a firm which has a multiple product segment within the same product, they what they do? They offer different prices for these multiple products. So after pricing, the third the third element which you have to cover is the promotion. Now, what do you mean by promotion? A lot of people usually associate promotion with the advertisement, but it is not only limited to advertisement. Why? When we talk about promotion, promotion is basically the methods which are used by the organization to communicate. Communicate what? Communicate to the consumer, because for them, consumer is the audience. The idea behind promotion is that you want to inform about your product to your target audience. What are the features of the product? How can that product help you in your day-to-day life? And you want to create that brand image in the mind of the consumer. So you want to boost brand recognition and sales. So every time you will see a ad, the logo of that organization will be prominently displayed. Why? Because every time you only see that logo at anywhere else, you will immediately recall that, okay, this logo belongs to that particular organization. So what are the different promotional alternatives which are used by an organization? First and foremost, you have advertisement. Now, advertisement is basically a very large concept. When we talk about advertising, advertisement is basically when a company is trying to build its image in the eyes of the individual. You can see them through their television adverts, through their radio commercial, through their print media. And because now most of the shopping happens online, so you have the internet adverts. Advertisement is basically when the company is trying to create a awareness in the mind of the consumer that yes, we are there in this field and this is our product. When we talk about sales promotion, now sales promotion is very targeted. So sales promotion is first and foremost, it is for a very short period of time. So all the discount coupon you get, all the price offs which you get during the end of season sales, the prices, especially in the festive season, you find a lot of companies have prizes with their product. They have lucky draws, they have free trials. So sales promotion first and foremost is for a very short period of time, and it is targeting a very particular set of customers. So sales promotion, the idea behind sales promotion is to boost the sales. The idea behind advertisement is to boost the image. Then you have personal selling. Personal selling is, again, I think the concept of personal selling is going away day by day, because now you do not get those individual sellers who come to your doorstep. I remember the time in early 2000, there were people who used to go door to door to sell the Tide, and they used to demonstrate how that Tide works in dirty clothes. So that was personal selling. That is, they direct display the product to the customer or the prospective buyer. There is a person who will approach the consumer and they will try to persuade the consumer to buy the product. But personal selling, I don't think so, unless and until you visit a mall, unless and until you visit a particular retail, there they have individuals who are there to help. You can say they are also personal selling, but personal selling usually means when the seller approaches the buyer. Then you have public relation. Now, public relation is basically a direct communication between the organization with its consumer. So if you visit a organization which has its own website, so you will find a press release section on their website. Now, what is that press release? Whatever that company want to address to the consumer, so they will directly put on that press release, rather than buying a very costly television space. They will directly address that particular issue with the customer through the press release forum. So you have press release, exhibition, sponsorship deals, seminars, conference events. They are all the methods which are used by the organization to have that public relationship. And then finally, the word of mouth. Now, this word of mouth is one of the most important and widely successful promotional technique or promotional tool for any organization. So basically, it's an informal communication. Suppose you have a consumer. Now, that consumer is so much impressed by your product that whoever that consumer approaches, be it the relative of the consumer, the friends of the consumer, the peer circle of the consumer, the social circle of the consumer, that consumer will tell good things about your product. And ultimately, that particular set of people will buy your product. And if they are impressed by your product, then they will go into their circle to spread good word of mouth about your product. And now, because the lot of sales is happening online, a lot of shopping is happening online, so a lot of organizations have online social media managing firms. What they're doing, they are managing their social media account so that a good relationship is maintained between the organization and the consumer. The final P in our marketing mix element is the place. Now, what do we understand by place? Basically, it is how a good will be delivered from the seller's location to the buyer's location. So it is making the product available to the consumer, because now you have told the consumer about your product. Now you have told about the features of your product. Now you have told the customer why they should buy your product and how that product will help the customer. But ultimately, you have to provide that product to the customer. So the idea behind the place mix is that this process of creating the goods available, creating that service available should be convenient and should be accessible. By accessible, we mean that customer should not jump through hoops to buy your product. So marketer, and for this, the marketer need to have complete knowledge of the target market. For example, if the target market is a village, now usually a village is a place where road connectivity is not so good, where your internet does not work properly. So what would happen? Even if the consumer wants to buy a product, you cannot deliver to his location. So therefore, this place concept is very important. Within a place concept, there are two broad elements. First and foremost, you have distributive structure. So basically, distributive structure talks about how that distribution channel will be designed and what will be the structure and management of that channel. Whether you will sell through wholesalers, whether you will sell through retailers, whether these people will be your internal to the organization or external to the organization, whether you are going to set up your own retail shop. These all are distributive structure. And then you have the logistic. Logistic is the physical delivery of the goods to the consumer place. It refers to the physical aspect of distribution. So logistics is basically provided by the transportation companies, and hardly any organization has its own transportation fleet. So therefore, you have all the deliveries, all the e-carts, which are providing that logistic service. But most of the organization have their distributive structure. So let's go through what are the distributive structures or what are the alternatives to a distributive structure. So first and foremost, you have the intensive distribution. Now, as the name said, this process is very intensive. This distribution structure is very intensive. Intensive in the sense that the organization will be very aggressive in placing or in providing their product to all the possible locations which are there in that particular market. So they provide their product to every nooks and corners of that particular market. So example, cold drink and chocolates. You go to any local kirana shop, go to any local grocery shop. Even if there are two different grocery shops side by side, you will find the Coca-Cola bottle, you will find the Pepsi bottle, you will find the chocolate. Why? Because these companies, they follow intensive distribution. Another example is Nestle, the Maggie. You go to any local shop, any, you will find the Maggie packet there. Why? Because Nestle is using that intensive distribution. Then you have the exclusive distribution. As the name says, this distribution process is very exclusive. So high-end cars, high-end clothing brand, they do not provide their goods to the local shop. They set up their own retail network, or they distribute only through one or two major outlets. Even if they're not setting up their own retail channels, the major outlets which will sell their product will be only one or two, only limited. So you have to buy there and you have to go there and buy their product. And finally, you have selective distribution. Now, selective distribution is the middle path of intensive and extensive distribution. You are not providing your products everywhere, but it's not that your product is available in a few locations. So, some locations, your product is available. So, you have the optimum coverage of the market and you are not investing a lot of money in the distribution process. So, you can say selective distribution is the middle path of the extensive and the intensive. Now, all those marketing mix were limited to the producer oriented model of marketing mix. But when it comes to the consumer, those four P's are replaced by four C's. So product is replaced by the customer value. So what is customer value? When we talk about the product mix, we talked about how that product is good for the consumer. But when we talk about the consumer value, basically we are trying to ascertain, okay, what are the needs and wants and demand of the consumer. And according to these particular needs of the customer, we will build our product. So product is designed and produced considering the requirement of the consumer. We are not pushing our product on the consumer, but rather than we are asking the consumer, okay, what is your want? What do you need? Okay, you need this car. Then we will create or develop or manufacture a car according to those needs. The price is replaced by the cost. So what do we mean by price? That is the price the consumer pays. But cost includes everything from using the product to change the product and what the customer is losing by not going with the competitor product. So everything, the total cost of owning the product. A very simple example is the electronic item. So when you buy any electronic item, that electronic item, when you use that product, there is a cost associated with that product, the electricity bill. So when you see those companies which are selling you appliances, that AC, fridges, they're coming with the star marking. So what is that star marking telling to the consumer? That see, if you use our product, your cost of using the product will be less because our product is 4-star mark or 5-star mark. Then when you are done with the product, when this product reaches the end life, what will it cost you to exchange the product? How much efforts would you have to put in to exchange the product? And finally, when a consumer is not choosing the competitor's product, they are following some benefit. So that is also a cost to the consumer, and how you are fulfilling that cost, how you are reimbursing your consumer with that cost is an aspect of the consumer marketing. Then place is replaced by the convenience. So when we talk about convenience, basically how easy it is to get the product information. You don't only need the product itself, but a consumer need to get that information about the product from himself or herself. That is, when you go to a website, you should have a when you go to a website of the organization, then you should have a catalog of the product. Now, whatever product the consumer needs to buy, they will buy. But what about the information? Basically, what are the ingredients which are used in the product? So the ease of getting that information or ease of getting product to the nearest store so that consumer does not have to go through a lot of hurdles. That is the ease of buying. And finally, the promotion is replaced by the communication. So promotion was very manipulative in its sense. That is, you are somehow trying your customer to tell that you should buy my product. But communication is a very cooperative process. That is, you encourage proper, timely, and accurate communication between the marketer and the consumer. Rather than pushing him to buy the product, you tell them that this is the product. This is how our product will help you. And this is why you should buy our product. And with this, we end our marketing mix from the point of view of product, and it is producer oriented and consumer oriented. I hope you like this video. If you do, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And if you guys are interested in learning macroeconomics, then I have a separate playlist for that. Thank you so much for watching.